What is up, and welcome to another edition of the Mile High Hoops podcast. As always, I am your host, Zach By, and as always, I appreciate you spending a sliver of your busy day with me here on the podcast, reacting to a signature win for the Denver Nuggets, 113-107 against fellow title contender Milwaukee Bucks, debuting their brand new head coach, Doc Rivers. Before we dive in, as you can tell, my voice is very weak. Been fighting something off for quite some time. It's caught up with me. I think I'm going to have to take some time off from work starting tomorrow. But we are dedicated to this podcast and are going to knock it out. We're playing hurt. We're doing what Joel Embiid didn't do on Saturday in Ball Arena. Okay. We'll get back to the Embiid stuff and how the NBA MVP odds have seriously shifted in the last 72 hours to a degree that I don't think I have ever seen that didn't relate to a season-ending injury. We'll circle back to that because the more relevant and recent game was a win over Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Dame Lillard, the revamped Bucks, really the new look Bucks debuting in Denver with their new head coach, Doc Rivers, for the first time. A couple thoughts here is that, one, really concerning start, right? Like right from the outset, it was like, oh my goodness, is this team not ready to play again? And they bounce back in such a serious way, and you credit the bench, the maligned bench that we've been talking about throughout the year, one of the biggest storylines of this Nuggets season. Do they have a championship caliber bench? The answer has been no. But there's time left to grow before the games really matter this spring. And I thought the bench was mostly fantastic. When you look at Christian Braun, even though he did not score it well, he was active and he was that disruptive defender and on the glass. So while not making shots, he only took one. I thought Christian Braun actually played well. Reggie Jackson made some shots. Peyton Watson continues to be a revelation on both ends of the floor. One of my favorite developing storylines. We've talked about it, I believe, 3 straight episodes now. Peyton Watson has been fantastic in his first season as an everyday player, second season in the NBA. And I thought that bench bailed a Nuggets out. They got down, I think it was 16-7 or something like that, and it was a little bit concerning of a start. Bench rallied, and then the starters responded in kind to the bench, which is unusual but very welcomed. My biggest takeaway from this game, and there's a few of them, Jokic, another triple-double. Jamal was fantastic. We'll talk about both those guys in a second. But defensively, Denver looked like a championship caliber defense again. And when I see that, like we saw it a couple weeks ago against the Boston Celtics, we see it against Milwaukee. It's so encouraging, and it's resetting for me of if they're who they are offensively and that version of themselves defensively, especially when it matters the most in the clutch. Denver has the best clutch defense in the NBA once again, which was a hallmark of that side of the court a year ago. You look at the season-long big picture numbers, it doesn't tell that story, but we know that in the long course of an NBA season, there's context. You use your eyes. What does it look like when the game hangs in the balance? They clearly become an incredible version of themselves when the moment gets larger, and the best version of themselves defensively, of course, we're talking about here. And that goes for Aaron Gordon. That goes for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That goes for Nikola Jokic. I thought those 3 guys specifically were sensational defensively. Yes, I do put Jokic in that category. I think Jokic's game defensively has totally morphed from caterpillar to butterfly over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, this guy, while he's never going to be among the league leaders in shots, that's not who he is. He has become very, very solid. And then you see in moments on Monday night against Milwaukee, a couple weeks ago against Boston, where there's moments of like, oh, wow, he's better than solid. Remember in the Boston game, there's a moment Kristaps Porzingis is trying to take him off the dribble from the wing, corner wing, and he just could not get past Jokic, frustrating Porzingis. There's a moment down the stretch in clutch time where Drew Holiday is trying to run pick and roll and could not get around Nikola Jokic. Yesterday, one of the final possessions, I think it was the final possession of the first half, his defense on Giannis, like it is actually elite in moments, okay? It's not going to be the course of a season or even a game, but in moments, it's elite. And when you're that good offensively and you have other great perimeter defenders around you, Aaron Gordon, KCP, that's all you need from Jokic is those moments. And I'm so impressed of who this team has been and continues to be when the game hangs in the balance. And when I say clutch, that's under 5 minutes when the game is within 5 points. Okay, Denver has the best defense in the NBA in those circumstances. So that is wildly encouraging through a championship lens because that's what it's going to take this spring. And in that regard, I don't want to get carried away overreacting to a regular season game in a vacuum and then drawing a straight line to a 7-game series. But I do want to say, after watching Milwaukee earlier this year and throughout the year, watching who they were against Denver, they don't strike fear into me. You respect them. There's past champions on that team, starting with Giannis. But they do not strike fear. They are not good enough defensively. At least this current stage, they are not good enough defensively to, I think, truly compete for a championship. They've been one of the worst defenses in the sport all year long, okay? All year long have been one of the worst. Look at the raw numbers, the advanced numbers, they scream it, okay? And I don't think, going from Drew Holiday to Dame Lillard, the team got any better defensively. I think this team is going to struggle to get stops, especially against an elite team like Denver. And then when Denver buckles down, I think it would be a problematic NBA Finals for the Milwaukee Bucks. I say that with caution and respect, but that's truly how I see it. I want to move along here. I want to give an individual shout out to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope defensively. I thought what he did in large stretches of that game to Dame Lillard, I mean, to hold Dame to, he scored 18 points, I believe it was. Let me just double check. Yeah, 18 points on 5 for 13 shooting. That is a rough night. And 1/3 of those points came at the free throw line where he was a perfect 6 for 6. That's best case scenario for Dame Lillard. And I just think KCP deserves the lion's share of that credit. And then defensively for Dame, him trying to slow down Jamal Murray in the spots that he did, pack a lunch, dude. Like this present day 2024 version of Jamal and Dame, that's not going to go well for Dame Lillard if he's not scoring 35, 40 points a game to try to cross-cancel Jamal. So that's turned into a really rough matchup, okay? But big shout out to KCP, big shout out to Aaron Gordon for their defense. The other big story of the game, big picture takeaway is Jamal Murray. This was a big game and Jamal showed up. Go figure. This is who that guy is, okay? You look at Jamal Murray's January. We talked about this on the most recent episode. He is on a tear. He's now scored 30 points 5 times this year, and 4 of them have been in the month of January. 35 against Milwaukee, 31 on the road at Indiana, 35 in another big game in Boston, 37 against Detroit. He's averaging over 24 points a month in the month of January. That's up from 21 points a game in December and just 12 points a game in the month of November, okay, which is not exactly fair because there was that 2-point game against the Bulls where he got hurt. But even go back to October where he averaged 20 points a game. This is by far his best month of the season. It's not perfect. We talk about the ebbs and flows of Jamal and the lack of consistency. That's still a topic of conversation. But it's just another layer of validation. When the lights are bright, you have another title contending team, another MVP candidate coming into your building, feels like a big game, and Jamal answers in kind. So I just absolutely love to see it from Jamal Murray. I thought he was fantastic. And mentioned, looking at my notes here, if you're watching us on YouTube, and if you are, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and turn the alerts on so you never miss a video. but Dame cannot guard Jamal Murray. Malik Beasley cannot guard Jamal Murray. That would be a problematic matchup in a 7-game series should these teams meet in the NBA Finals. I wanted to mention this too. Jamal Murray scored 35 points while not hitting a three. That is unusual to the point where, and I don't know this to be true, but I would almost bet that Jamal Murray has never scored 35 or more without making a single three-pointer. That is noteworthy. Look at the other games this month where he scored 30 or more. He made 3 threes against the Pacers in the game that we just quoted. He made 3 threes against the Celtics in that outing that we just quoted. In the game against Detroit, he made 3 threes where on the night that he scored 37. So, and are we missing one more game in there? Yeah, no, we covered it. So, for him not to make a three and get to 35 points, I'd be willing to bet that's the first time in his career that's happened. 35 is a lot of freaking points, and one of the hallmarks of Jamal's game is knocking down shots from the outside. So that to me was just uber impressive and deserved mention. Another triple-double for Nikola Jokic, his NBA-leading 14th triple-double. How about this, though? He had a triple-double before the fourth quarter started. They said on the Altitude broadcast that it was the 38th time in Jokic's career that he locked up a triple-double before the fourth quarter started. That had my jaw on the freaking floor. That is an insane niche stat that doesn't take a doctorate degree to understand how absurd that is. Also, you look at the final score, the Nuggets win 113-107, but look at the numbers from three. The Denver Nuggets made 4 total three-pointers. They went 4 of 18. One of their worst shooting performances of the season from the outside, just 22% from three. If you told me before tip-off that was going to be the case, I would have bet a whole bunch of money on the Milwaukee Bucks and would have lost. It's really hard to win a game in today's NBA going 4 for 18 from three, especially when your competition made 16 threes and attempted 39. So that's over 40% from three for the Bucks and about half that for Denver, and Denver won. That is insane. So you have a couple statistical anomalies with Jamal Murray as an individual and not making a three and getting 35 points, but the Denver Nuggets beating a team like Milwaukee, making half from a percentage standpoint from three, and then 1/4 of the total threes that the Bucks made. What was the difference? Look at the points in the paint. The Bucks just had 26 points in the paint, and the Denver Nuggets had 58 points in the paint compared to the Bucks 26. So there's the kind of that math cross cancellation there. What else did I want to get to here? Talked about Peyton Watson. Let's move forward off the actual substance of the game. Talk about a couple fun things here. There's 3 things I want to get to on the way out. One, just a funny thing. The way that the Denver Nuggets crowd was counting Giannis's free throw second allotment. When you go to the line, you have 10 seconds to shoot the free throw. Giannis has, by far and away, the longest free throw routine that I have ever seen. I think it's unhealthy, actually, going back to my own playing days. If you're not a great free throw shooter, which Giannis is not, to sit there for the entirety of your 10-second allotment, that just gives you more time to think and process. I think it's silly. I think he needs a new routine over the summer, which is going to take thousands and thousands and thousands of shots to break the old routine. But the thing is, the refs allow him more time than he's allotted. No one else would be able to do that. And I like Giannis. This is not a personal thing. I really like Giannis. At least he shows up and plays and answers the bell, right? But when the crowd starts chanting it, they're going 1, 2. I've never seen that. I've never seen that in an NBA game. And Jokic is lobbying to the official. He's taking more time than is allotted. And the officials called it. They called it. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, my voice is on the fritz here, folks. But they actually called it, and they took a free throw off the board. I was like, whoa. Small justice, right? It was just so funny. And then, you know what I'm doing at home? I got my phone out. I got my iPhone, and I'm timing this freaking dude. And I timed one of the free throws at 12.8 seconds. He almost took 13 seconds. That was a free throw that they didn't call. Hilarious. Bookmark it. Funny stuff within the NBA season. I want to give, so the second thing I wanted to get to here of the three on the way out here is Michael Malone winning his 400th game as coach of the Denver Nuggets. Just so cool. Malone has been the perfect coach for this organization. And he is the greatest coach in the history of the organization. Okay? That's just what it is. I don't need the official record to be Malone's to know that he's the greatest coach in the history of the organization, but he'll have that record soon enough. Okay, he is just now 32 wins behind Doug Moe for most in Nuggets history. So once he gets there, which will be like, I don't know, November next year or whatever it is, it'll be nice that it'll be unequivocal. The only coach that brought a championship to Denver, and he's the all-time wins leader. Really, really cool. George Karl, believe it or not, is in between Malone and Doug Moe right now, 23. So Malone has 400 wins. George Karl has 423. And then right above Karl is Doug Moe at 432. So what a great run for Michael Malone. And it'll get even better if they can win another championship. And I truly believe that they're going to. I've never talked this bullish about a Denver sports team in the 7 years that I've been talking about Denver sports. And I felt it in every piece of my fiber a year ago came true. I feel it just the same, barring devastating injury. I do believe this team is going to have another parade in Denver, Colorado. And if that takes place, man, I cannot wait to be there for it again. And then lastly, on the way out here, the MVP odds. Guys, I have not seen MVP odds shift as dramatically in 72 hours with a non-season ending injury. Okay. I just can't think of it. And I've been following this stuff for, I don't know, the sports gambling side, probably about 15 years. I don't have another frame of reference like this. Let's recap it real quick. On Saturday morning, Joel Embiid is such a favorite to win MVP. If you bet $1 to win it, Embiid to win MVP, it wins about $1. Okay, so if you bet $100 on Joel Embiid to win the MVP Saturday morning, and he ended up winning it, you get your $100 stake back plus $100 in winnings. That's 1-to-1, right? He was almost 1-to-1 at every single sports book. He misses the game, and the odds flip. And Jokic was second with Giannis and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like third and fourth. He misses the game. Embiid on Monday morning is like 3-to-1. So from 1-to-1 to 3-to-1. And Jokic was like side by side, 50-50. It was like Giannis and Jokic were neck and neck, same odds, right? Then Embiid, and we know the NBA's new game requirement, you have to play in 65 games in order to win an award, all right, or be all-pro. And it's working. That rule is working. Kawhi Leonard has started every game for the Clippers this year. I mean, he's the king of load management. It's working, okay? Good rule change. But Embiid has already missed time for injury, right? So, real injury. I think he missed, I don't know what it was, 9 games or whatever it was. So now he misses the game against Denver. He's got 6 games left to burn. Then he missed the game on Monday night as well. That means he's left with 5 games to burn, or he's disqualified for the award. Guys, depending on what sportsbook you look at. So if you look at DraftKings, Embiid is now outside of the top 2. If you look at Superbook Sports, which has been around since the early 90s in Vegas, they now have Embiid at 10-1 and outside of the top 4 candidates to win the award. Jokic is leading the field, followed by SGA, Luka in Dallas, and Giannis. They're all now ahead of Embiid. Embiid was felt like he was lapping the field, just Saturday. We're recording on Tuesday. I've never seen anything like it. And he's got two things working against him. He's got the narrative that he ducked Jokic in Denver again for the fourth straight year, which I believe he could have played. But if you can't miss the game in Denver and then play 24 hours later in Portland, so he's got to miss the game in Portland to validate that it was bad enough that he missed it in Denver. So you have the narrative now working against you, and you're burning the games. You're burning the allotment of games that you can miss. Hysterical. I am so here for it. I have tried to do the high road. I'm in the mud now. I'm back in the mud of the MVP race. I'm getting dirty, but I love it. I love it. I want it all. I want Jokic to win the regular season MVP. I want the Nuggets to win the championship. I want Jokic to win the finals MVP and to kickstart discussions where Jokic is among the greatest players of all time. Okay, we're going to leave it there for now, guys. Thank you so much for making us a small part of your day. Forgive me for my voice. Hopefully we are back on Thursday and continue to cover what I believe is a championship season in the making. The Nuggets' next game is on the road at the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is going to be on Wednesday night. And Lord willing, we'll be back on Thursday to talk about it right here on the Miles